Warm greetings from the high 10. It is everyday shenanigans. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Please be safe. It's football time in East Tennessee. Tomorrow we play Georgia. Amen. There's new developments pertaining to the protesters that were on Buckhalter. I'm going to bring you all the latest updates pertaining to the story of the protesters and any entities that have been mentioned pertaining to the death of this baby boy, Quentin Simon. Thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy the ride. This first source is WSAV3 News.
Just into the WSAV newsroom, the Chatham County Police Department issuing this statement about protesters outside the Simon home. Many of the people claiming to want justice for Quentin have turned his tragic and heartbreaking case into a money-making circus, and they have made it impossible for the people who live in the area to enjoy the peace and tranquility of their homes. This is unacceptable, and it has to stop. One person, a YouTube personality, was arrested out there. The department spokesperson says the protesters have been told to leave the area outside the Simon home and have now relocated to the Chatham County Police Department.
WSAV3 News is the source. As you heard here in this commentary, the monkeys have been asked to leave. He's clarified in this commentary that this is a money-making scenario, not justice for a baby child. And I agree. You're entitled to your opinion. But over here, I don't rock with anything that's not above board. Because my thing is, you treat people the way you want to be treated. You're entitled to your opinion about any given situation, but you treat people the way you want to be treated. So what you think is right, would you want it done to you? Hell no, you wouldn't. So basically, many of the people out there, they're hypocrites, because if they were to return home right now and see some of us standing out there with bullhorns and signs and saying nasty things about them, they wouldn't like it. And their neighbors wouldn't like it. Because the first thing the neighbors would be saying, well, why are these people out here? What's going on? Exactly. Next source of information. I'm going to bring an update pertaining to Quentin Simon's grandfather struck, killed by a car in Burke County. Thank you so much for joining me.
There is more tragedy for the family of a Chatham County toddler who went missing and is now presumed dead. News 3 has learned that the family of Quentin Simon is dealing with yet another death. Quentin's grandfather on the child's father's side was killed early yesterday morning. It happened in Burke County, Georgia. WSAV's lead investigative reporter Brett Buffington live from there tonight. Brett, this has been an incredibly hard month for Quentin's father.
Undoubtedly, Ben. You have to think this man is dealing with the loss of his toddler son. Police believe, obviously, Quentin is in that landfill. But get this, just last week, Quentin's dad lost his mom, and yesterday lost his dad. This is Highway 23, just outside the small city of Girard. The white paint that stains the pavement here is where Henry Dale Moss Sr. got run over. According to crash investigators, the car that hit the man took off. Those investigators believe Henry had a flat tire and was simply walking back home just before sunrise yesterday. For Henry's son, Quentin's dad, these past few weeks have been nothing but continuous heartbreak. His son, believed to be dead in this dump. Last week, his mom, Catherine Herron, died. We showed you Quentin's name listed as a survivor in her obituary. Today, Bubba Moss is dealing with the loss of his dad. For the police looking for Quentin's body, they've admitted the task is extremely challenging, but they've moved the reminder of what they're looking for from its room at this command center right to the dump they're searching. Quentin's picture right there as motivation. The police here, they are hopeful that someone will come forward and give them a tip in this case about this crash. So far, they don't even have a description of the car that drove off. We're live in Burke County, Georgia this afternoon. I'm Brett Buffington, WSAV News 3, on your side.
All right, that's source number 2, WSAV. What are the odds that a person would lose their child, who many of us believe the father had no contact with in 8 months or so? Coming from his own mouth, say he had not talked to the mother, so one would assume, well, you hadn't seen the son. Then this person would lose their mother, do not know if she was sick or ill, and then shortly after, the father is hit by a moving car. The car didn't stop. So now you're talking about vehicular homicide because you left the scene. And naturally, as I've told many of you here in the South, we do not have sidewalks in certain areas of the town, cities, and the county. Definitely no sidewalks in the county. I think most of you know that who venture out into rural America. There are no sidewalks in the county, and there are usually no lamp posts in the county. There's no adequate lighting. They said the man was hit before sunrise. So where was he going that morning? Was he going to work, going to take care of business? Where was he going? Allegedly, he had a flat tire and he was just walking in the road. Tragic, yes, it is. But one would have to wonder, what is the universe trying to say? Because these are some very odd coincidences. 3 people deceased in a 3-week, 4-week interval. You have to admit that is odd. And that's something I've learned about bad luck. I've said it about myself. For me, it comes in 3s. Bam, 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 bam. And unfortunately for this Bubba Moss, it came in 3s. Just something to think about. Food for thought. Why 3 people? Child, mother, then father. Thank you for joining me. More information pertaining to this child. Thank you all so much for joining me. The next information is by WJCL News. This is pertaining to the Levi law in the state of Georgia pertaining to the Amber Alert. Why was there no Amber Alert introduced? And as many of you who do not follow true crime to know about Amber Alerts, there has to be specifics in an investigation in order for an Amber Alert to be alerted to the public. There has to be an identifying person. There has to be an identifying vehicle. So those things were not mentioned or given in this investigation. So therefore, this case did not qualify for an Amber Alert. Let's play the said information.
WSAV Newsroom, the Chatham County Police Department issuing this statement about protesters outside the Simon home. Many of the people claiming to want justice for Quinton have turned his tragic and heartbreaking case into a money-making circus, and they have made it impossible for the people who live in the area to enjoy the peace and tranquility of their homes. This is unacceptable, and it has to stop. One person, a YouTube personality, was arrested out there. The department spokesperson says the protesters have been told to leave the area outside the Simon home and have now relocated to the Chatham County Police Department.
All right. The Chatham County has given their opinion. Okay, Brett Buffington has a alert. Let me read that off. Let's see what Brett Buffington's talking about. So I believe there's a child missing down there in Georgia, an 11-year-old child. He says, here's the scene in that apartment complex this morning. Police are looking for this missing 11-year-old here, and we saw them in several neighboring complexes too. Okay. Glad he was found safe. So they had a missing child down there. He's been found safe. We're going to go over to Twitter. And we're going to chop up this information by Chatham County Police Department. You all have finally decided to enforce an override on the ordinance pertaining to the protesters. Feel like it's gotten out of hand. You're going to give us the reasons why. I'd like to say that you did hide some comments on here. Why? Why did you hide them? You made it accessible for me to see them, but you didn't want them on the page for people to just jump on Twitter and see them. But you give us the access to hide certain comments. And I do know that the comment I put up earlier, I didn't see it, but I didn't see it in the hidden section either. So I retweeted and put it in a more mild tweet. Let's see what you all are talking about over here in Chatham County. This is the sad information pertaining to the protests. Facebook also has an upload pertaining to this mess. All right. This was at 12:41 today, November 4th. The behavior of many YouTubers and people calling themselves protesters has gone beyond anything acceptable in a civil society, said Chatham County Police Chief Hadley. Mr. Jeff Hadley. We have to return the neighborhood back to its residents. It is their neighborhood. Let me see if I can get this whole thing pulled up because there are lots of tweets. Frankly, I'm going to go to Facebook because they over here on Twitter, they chop it all up. And I don't really like how they set it up over on Twitter. Facebook gives the whole commentary verbatim. This was uploaded 3 hours ago. Chatham County Police Department supports everyone's constitutional right to peacefully protest, but we also support residents' rights to live in a peaceful environment. Due to the ongoing protests and disruptive gatherings on Buckhalter Road, the Chatham County Police Department will be enforcing 2 long-standing county ordinances. Let me repeat that. Chatham County will be enforcing 2 long-standing county ordinances. Number 1, Chapter 18, Article 4, Parade and Public Assembly Ordinance, which requires a permit from the county manager upon recommendation by the chief of police. So if you do go get a permit, attempt to get a permit, it has to be approved by the chief via the county manager. Let me make sure I'm saying that correctly. Requires a permit from the county manager upon recommendation by the chief of police. In this ordinance, a public assembly means any meeting, demonstration, picket line, rally, gathering for a common purpose that interferes with the normal flow or regulation of pedestrian or vehicular traffic or occupies any public area or facilities open to the general public. The second one is the County Ordinance 11-3, loitering. This will be enforced from 7 p.m. until 7 a.m. Signage will be posted on Buckhalter Road that outlines this information. You can read the ordinances in its entirety here. Well, let me go ahead and open it up since it's here. See what it says. Dear God. Let me see where I'm going to do organization, general provisions. Oh my God, it's so much. Oh my God, I don't have time for all that. It's just, some may be wondering why we have waited to enforce these ordinances when disruptive protests surrounding the disappearance of little Quentin Simon have been going on for weeks. Clearly, the Chatham County Police Department supports the right to a peaceful protest. Therefore, we initially took a liberal position on enforcement of ordinances related to protests with recent events, including an arrest for battery after a dispute between 2 groups of people identifying themselves as protesters, make it clear that now is the right time to take a stricter interpretation of the ordinances. The behavior of many YouTubers and people calling themselves protesters has gone beyond anything acceptable in a civil society, said Chatham County Police Chief Hadley. We have to return the neighborhood back to the residents. It is their neighborhood. Let's go to 23 hours ago. Over the last 3 weeks, while Chatham County police officers have been focused on finding Quentin Simon, a growing number of people calling themselves protesters have gathered outside of Quentin's home on Buckhalter Road. While the Chatham County Police Department supports the rights to protest peacefully, we also support the rights of the citizens to live in a peaceful environment. The people on Buckhalter Road calling themselves protesters have made that nearly impossible. Since October 12, 2022, when the first YouTube protesters arrived, we have responded to over 50 calls for service in the 500 block of Buckhalter Road, and we have made multiple arrests. This has taken precious resources away from our department at a time when we are focused on the most massive investigation in the history of CCPD. Exactly. You know that they have a small department. You also should know by now that they dispersed from Savannah City Police Department. So that means these people do not have a lot of officers. If you've been doing your investigation, you would have seen the number of police officers that this department has. It is not a lot. So therefore, if they went to the FBI to get help, it also went around the country to get 40 agents to come in. That's not including GBI also involved. FBI, GBI, Chatham County. Why the hell do you think they want to be running around chasing people in the neighborhoods, hooping and hollering? They already let you know they didn't even have enough people and resources, tools to work the case to find this child. They had to also ask for $250,000 to aid in this search. So common sense should tell you they didn't have resources and manpower, woman power to have people running over to the street, running over to these addresses to be canoodling around with people who have nothing better to do. That's just facts. That's not even an opinion. That's facts. That's facts they've already told you. We don't have anybody here. We don't have the tools to find this child. We needed help. So I don't even see why there's an argument. Like minds. I will continue. Thank you for joining me. Many of the people claiming to want justice for Quentin have turned his tragic and heartbreaking case into a money-making circus, and they have made it impossible for the people who live in the area to enjoy the peace and tranquility of their homes. This is unacceptable and it has to stop. Over the next few days, we will be unveiling some measures to limit the disruption to the small community. Neighbors have had to endure more than their fair share of noise, vulgarity, and police presence over the last 3 weeks. We will do everything we can to once again give them a sense of normalcy. This afternoon, some of the protesters moved to the CCPD headquarters at 295 Police Memorial Drive. This is a much more appropriate place to hold a protest. Let's read some of the comments pertaining to this post. Sandra Burnsit Murray says, everyone, and she's considered a top fan on this Facebook page, everyone should be praying that baby Quentin is found. The neighbors have been through enough and should not have to endure anything other than peace in their neighborhood. Praying for all law enforcement agents who have tirelessly searched for baby Quentin, praying to God every day that baby Quentin is found so that he can have a proper resting place. Rest in peace in Jesus' name. Jesus' arm, baby Quentin. I don't know who will all get this, and I will try to put it as simple as I can. To the protesters, it's great that you're protesting, and that's your right, and I feel your anger towards Quentin's mom, but it's not right to bother neighbors who don't have anything to do with this. Protest the best you can there at the police station, but do it in an honorable way, especially for Quentin. He wouldn't want his neighbors to be bothered this way. What he would want to be found and given a proper resting place, and for his mother to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. By taking time from law enforcement to come deal with protesters, it's not going to honor him the way he should or would want to, and it takes the police away from the real issues at hand and real police work. I'm obviously very upset over what happened to Quentin, just as many parents would be. I have to put my own ego and pride away so the police can do their jobs with the FBI and others to find Quentin and put his mother away for this. Amen. Amen. So you hear this man saying, protest peacefully, but not right there. And this is injustice for the child. Exactly. We all, unfortunately, have to be patient and allow those searching and getting evidence for the justice of Quentin. Otherwise, we are not helping and we are making things worse. Help the police in this matter by protesting in a way that doesn't get them called out there and having distractions. This isn't about us. Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's about a little boy getting found and justice served to the mother and anyone else that could be involved. That comment is by a Mike Banning, another top fan on this police Facebook page. Thank you, Mr. Banning. Mr. Banning has put it in the best words possible. You have the right to protest because it is your amendment right, but you do not have the right to disturb the peace. And this is not honoring a baby child. And going to the headquarters is a more appropriate place to protest. As you heard the chief saying it, it would be more adequate there. And those are his own words. You have to lead by example. You see, the reason why I got heated in my last live last night with the caller who wanted to go on and on about why it was okay to protest was exactly what this man is saying. Nobody's trying to tell you that you don't have a right to protest. That's not the argument. The argument is in what you're trying to say, the law has the right to let me stand here and hoop and holler. The flip side of that law is that you're disturbing the peace and harassment of others, because at some point it is harassment to other people. Even if you're not standing in front of that person's door, even if you're not banging on their door, banging on their windows, you're disrupting the peace. So the law is actually unfair. The law says, I'll let you stand out here and make a fool out yourself, but the law is also giving you permission to disturb other people who don't have a dog in the race and didn't send for you. I did read someone's comment earlier where the woman was saying, well, there are also residents that are for the protests. Well, those residents possibly live on the other block, around the corner, down the street. They can't hear the damn noise. They can't hear the damn noise. I'm all for peaceful rallying. I'm all for giving your opinion, because I believe through rallying and protesting, you can bring about a change. I believe in sending letters and calls about any given situation can get a change, because we know that if you don't speak up, things will remain the same. Laws will stay the same. And we have had laws change just because somebody, plural, decided to speak up. But you don't have the right to touch anyone, harass anyone, go on people's property, bang on windows, bang on doors, block driveways, block a public street, because Buckhalter is public. That belongs to the county or city. That does not belong to Billy Joe Howe or Leilani Simon. That's where you fucked up. Their house sits on the street, but the house is not in the street. So therefore, the street is public. And you have no business out there. Just as this man, Mr. Bubba Moss's father, is walking on a public street and gets mowed down and the driver continues to drive off, the same could happen to you on Buckhalter. Somebody could come through there and just bum rush all of you down and keep on going. Then we'd be talking about another story that would take away, as they just said, a distraction pertaining to Quentin Simon. The police obviously don't have the manpower to be running all over the city. Yes, for petty things. And the one thing some of you dodo birds didn't consider, what if there was a hostage situation down there? bank robbery, a standoff where a person was holding people hostage, children, school shooting. They're too busy running over there, navigating a bunch of people who don't have nothing better to do. See, you're selfish and you're self-serving. And you keep saying it's about Quentin. It's not about him. He's not even alive. So how's it about him? He can't hear you. He can't see you. He doesn't even know that you exist. He doesn't even know that you exist because he does not exist. He is gone. And the people left behind that are breathing, who were responsible for him, never cared for him. And sadly, they will move on into the dust until law enforcement decides to do something with them legally. So that is also another process we have to wait on. What will be done with Billy Joel Howe and Leilani Simon and any other participant in the death and discarment of Quentin Simon? Well, they weren't doing the right thing. And see, the thing I tried to tell you all is the obvious, and some of you can't seem to get it through your head. And I'm one of those type of people, I don't believe in arguing with anybody about anything. You can think how you want to think, but you can't make me think how you think I should think. Because one, I'm one of those type of people, I'm not going to jail for just something stupid. You want to go to jail, that's you. But don't try to force your opinion on somebody else why they should want to go to jail. And let me say this to a certain bobblehead out there. You don't have the right to tell somebody they don't care for Quentin because they're not down there protesting. That's your choice. Standing outside cursing people out, getting in people's face, calling them nasty names, cockroaches. How is that justice for somebody? See, you all don't seem to understand that you are mimicking the people that you're talking about. You're calling them nasty names. They ain't this, they ain't that. AB put it very well in his last upload. How are you different? Because I see the same things in you that you're saying about Billy Joel and Leilani. They're trash, they're this, they're unfit. But if we would go in the book of life and start digging around in your closets, which we really don't have to do, because I can see you on a live stream to see, as someone in the chat says, you don't even have respect for law enforcement. You don't have respect for the neighbors that live there. So when you don't have respect for the neighbors, you don't have respect for the law. You don't have respect for people passing through the neighborhood trying to get from A to Z. You're showing me you don't respect yourself. So if you don't respect yourself, you can't respect me or anybody. So therefore, you can't talk about the people that live at 535. Because one thing begets another. If you a clown ass and disrespectful to the law enforcement, to neighbors, and running up to people, cursing them out that you don't even know, who are doing the same thing that you're doing, but you're trying to say, well, I'm here for the real reason. No, I'm here for the real reason. I'm really here for Quentin. They ain't here. They ain't here. They here for Billy Joe. The point is, it doesn't matter who they're there for. See, you're trying to flip the law to your own self-serving purposes. It's okay for you to go out there and make a ruckus, but then somebody goes there for the home team. They shouldn't be there. They don't have no right to be there. Oh, they're a cockroach. They're a crackhead. It doesn't matter. Because just like you're trying to make us believe you're there for the right reason, who are you to say that they're not there for their own purposes? It doesn't matter. You're all out there doing the same damn thing. And even some may be quiet. Why are you bothering them? You have no right to even go over there and say anything to anybody. And that shit right there was hot butter to me last night. You're talking all that fast talk, but then you're going over there bothering somebody that ain't said two words to you. Then you all want to argue with somebody about who was trying to hit somebody with a car and snatching a bullhorn. You don't have no business touching anybody. For what? For what? You went there seeking trouble and you found it. And that's in the scripture. Seek and ye shall find. Speak it and it shall be so. That's in Psalms. You're claiming all of that negativity. Because you see, you went there with an idle mind. And the idle mind is the devil's workshop. You didn't go there to fight for Quentin Simon. You went there for your own self-serving purposes, which is to do live streams, which generates money. YouTube gets a portion of anything you talk about, whether it's baking pies or showing somebody riding around in your car just to show the view outside. It doesn't matter. I don't really care what anybody talks about on their channel because I really don't care. But don't talk bad about somebody else when you are doing the same thing that they're doing. Whether they're a YouTuber or not, what you're doing is self-serving. Whether it's a Facebook live stream, a YouTube channel, or it's just somebody standing out there with a sign, you can't tell that person they can't be there when you are also there too. That's my said commentary. It was said to me that Leilani has returned home. So someone asked me a question about corruption with the police department, Chief Hadley's late response as he's given his answer why, because of city ordinances and letting people have the right to protest, blah, blah, blah. But my understanding from a source is that Chief Hadley, did you instruct Leilani to leave? Because that's the information I'm getting, that perhaps Leilani didn't leave on her own. So I'd like to know, Chief of Police, did you ask her or tell her she should leave the house? Because that will be very interesting information if that is true. That would be very interesting information. If that is true, that you told her she should leave as to let the protesters see you leave, and then they will go fly, fly, fly. And how interesting is it, as this person who's mentioned this to me, that the timing is on point. Leilani leaves, more goofy people flock down, and then we have this information about the city ordinances. And now, allegedly, she's back home. Do the math. Chief Hadley, do you have a personal investment in this case? Do you know these people personally? Do you feel some type of way about the city in general to why there was such a late response? Because 3 weeks was really too long to let this go on. So you really can't use the excuse First Amendment right, Second Amendment right, whatever. That's just a bunch of BS. 3 weeks is too long because you're not the person that was living on Buckhalter the past couple of weeks. So I want to ask you again, do you have a personal investment in this case? Do you know the Howe Simon family personally? Have you had any interactions with these people on a personal level, entanglement? Because something is off with the late response. Because my thing is 3 weeks, 6 weeks. Were you just waiting to find the baby? And then the people would just automatically leave on their own? Somebody would have been dead by the time you find the baby. I'm just asking. See, I ask the real questions. I don't have time for all that other foolishness. Because that stuff they doing is foolishness. See, they don't ask real questions. They don't engage with the chat and the viewing audience in a productive manner. And if you've noticed the live streams, you don't even hear productive conversation. They don't ask questions. They don't research anything. They don't look up anything. They just wait for somebody to send them the information and then they go live. But some people are with that type of content. I don't even like saying journalism because I'm not journalists. I really don't like using the word content. That's just a word from the dictionary. But you all don't think. You're not heavy thinkers. And the people that follow you aren't heavy thinkers. Because they're so gullible that if you were to tell your viewing audience, hey, I can fly, I'm going to go stand on top of the Empire State Building, I'm going to jump off, in about 10 minutes, I'm going to land down on the ground in one piece. And your followers will be stupid enough to watch a video of you basically committing suicide, waiting to see if your ass is going to be standing on the ground. That's why I tell people my network is for people who want to think outside the box, that want to weigh all options and be objective until they see otherwise. And many people who come in the chat are not thinkers. They're followers. And they want somebody to just believe whatever was told to them. I don't work like that. I don't follow in behind people. I'm not a follower. The very reason I'm still alive at 51. So I'm not following anybody anywhere. And I don't believe everything I hear in the street. And that is the reason why many people have problems in their life, because they're followers. As soon as somebody tell them something, they ride on it. He said it, he said it, he said it. But what's your point? Beware of the messenger. Just because somebody said it doesn't mean it's true. And it doesn't matter if it makes it to the news or not. There's always some truth to something, a little bit of fudging, a little bit of lying. It's just the way it is. And we've learned that with dealing with people in general. A lot of stories, true crime, the things that came out that people thought were the truth, it was not. It was not. But that's the point. You don't know any more than what's been told to you. And how many times have we seen lately in true crime cases where things had to be retracted, such as all the mess that went on out in Texas with Uvalde? That was a fine mess. And how many times have they had to retract the information put out because, one, they were jumping the gun and putting the information out, going by what somebody else said, but obviously not verifying the information. You can't believe everything that you hear. So you wait to see if it can be refuted. And that's just the way it is. Sometimes you get the truth, sometimes you won't. But I don't believe in following in behind anybody. Too old for that. Those things you do when you're young. You get to 50, you don't follow anybody anywhere. The link is in the chat. If you want to give your opinion pertaining to the city ordinance that should be posted on the polls down there to tell you the time that you can peacefully protest or not. Is Leilani home? And did the chief ask her to leave? Because that is something some of you might want to ponder. And will this ordinance be abided by? And will they find Quentin Simon soon? Because we are now at the weekend and they won't be searching for the child Saturday, Sunday. Another week has ended, sadly, and no information to the remains of this baby. Thank you so much. Hello, None Your Business. And thank you, None Your Business, for following the Queen on Twitter. Thank you. I have some new followers on Twitter. Thank you all so much for following the Queen. Kinsley Masters, my mod, what do you have to say?
I think it's a good idea that, that there is some sort of ordinance. Hopefully it brings a little more peace to the people, that aren't joined in on it. The other people in the neighborhood or a street over, 5 streets over, shit, anybody really driving down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said from the very beginning, I get it, right? Going out there and protesting. But I'm a silent type of person. I don't think I'd be out there like raising hell. I'd be more or less holding my sign because sometimes silence is golden.
Yeah. Well, as Carrie down here says, why even go? Exactly. Well,
yeah,
what
I would. I don't think I would go personally.
I wouldn't. I don't see what you're proving, because my thing is the people who have gone to other residences that we know of or through other crimes, and nothing came from those crimes. One, that person was already dead with the Petito laundry case, and the case with Miss Wells, she still hasn't been found. So all that hooping and hollering and hacking and meeting people and banging on people's doors, trying to get them to talk, was all for nothing. Then you wait a day late, dollar short to even go down there. Why didn't you go down there like a couple of weeks when you started seeing signs that the parents were deceptive? You went in the dead of winter, months. The case had gone by for months.
Yeah, and there's still no resolution. You know what I mean? The Petito case has resolution, but that's
but I'm saying you didn't know there was a resolution when you were out there fussing.
Oh yeah,
and fighting.
Of course not. Yeah,
man was dead.
Yeah,
you didn't even know he was dead. So all that hooping and hollering was for nothing.
Yeah, it was absolutely for nothing. You know, how many times do you hear that I'm just gonna say YouTube person has solved a crime, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just.
But they're not crime solvers.
No,
they're just leeches that want to be seen. As one of them said last night, she's really something else with herself. We're important. We're doing something important. You all are just jealous of what? You don't have a damn thing. Because if you had something of substance, first of all, you wouldn't even be standing out there at 535. If you had something of substance, you had a real lucrative career, that is not where you would be. You would be sitting up at a news desk at CBS, NBC, CNN. You understand what I'm saying?
No, most definitely. You know, so it's not like we hear YouTube personalities are out solving cases, right?
Yeah, but you don't, and you don't even have a legitimate podcast. You act like your podcast is streamed through a major network, such as I just said, Oxygen, Lifetime, or A&E. You're just somebody on the ground, a random person. Anybody can start a YouTube channel. Anybody can go Facebook Live. It's not really that serious.
No. And, you know, for the most part, I think the general public, and I'm just speaking on this case, you know, most of us are all in agreement. We know that she killed that little boy, right? Intuition just tells us. And then we have the police chief come out and say, we know he's there. Well, they know he's there. We can say they 1 billion times. They know he's there. They have looked nowhere else. He is there. They have reason to believe he is in that specific location. Mm-hmm. They have surveillance. We're all probably, the majority of us all believe the same thing. She did it, right? Are they going to pick her up? Probably not. We've seen it. Right? We have literally watched it, and we all probably think there's plenty to take her in on, right? It could be the littlest charge until they get that murder charge, or until he gets his body that he wants. But he's not going to do it because he hasn't done it yet. You know, I personally
Why not?
I don't know, man. I really think this body for him is going to be like a trophy. And I believe he knows the family. And I'm pretty spot on with my intuition.
You believe this because of the timeline of the protest?
There's just so much. There's just so much that just we can sit and think about. And now more so this. When they hold that toy hauler or trailer or motorhome, whatever you want to call it, everyone's like, oh my God, they stole it. No, they didn't. First thing that came out of my mouth was, they moved that bitch because they're going to put her.
I don't know why people would assume that she stole it. She's never told you anything about anything. You all just watch stuff in real time, and yet you still don't get the bigger picture. The trailer was possibly moved. She's already said that in a TikTok video when she was in a trailer. I got to go get my other camper. And this is before the baby was even dead. Because I don't even know the timeline of that TikTok post she made. But she's going live, talking to the audience, talking about her job. And she's saying, oh, I got to go to Savannah to get my other camper. So that should let you know that she moves her campers around. Damn.
Yeah. I think she most definitely moved it. They put her on there. The timing was impeccable.
Nobody pays attention to anything.
This was the chief's doing. He manipulated the system. And when it didn't work, then he came up with this little ordinance that he is going to impose. It's always been there, but he hadn't imposed it.
Let me address this to Shanny. Shanny, what do you mean? I'm not about to here to argue with anybody about where the baby is. I'm tired of that conversation. I'm not going there. What do you mean she's too lazy to do anything? If they're telling you that the baby's in the landfill, then that means she wasn't lazy enough to kill her kid and throw her baby in the dumpster. He was an inconvenience. That's why he's not here.
Yeah,
He was an inconvenience. That's why he's not here. He was an inconvenience. That's why he's not here. Because you don't see him. We're talking about him 4 weeks later. So that means he's not here. That means he's dead.
And you know, I don't know why people want to sit and argue about, are these people good people? Are these people bad people? If you're raised with any common sense, or you've grown some common sense over your adult years, any family that doesn't come to the media, the news outlets, begging and pleading for their child to be returned, someone that doesn't change their story 4 times within 3 hours, from being kidnapped to you're surprised they woke up, that's telling in itself. You know, yeah, you have idiots. You got a whole barnyard full of idiots that are going to rock with these idiots until the very end. For whatever reason, I don't know, but the most of those, they're cronies. They're lowlifes just like they are over there. Mm-hmm. That's why they rock together.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
We people that have common sense, we see right through all of the bullshit.
Yeah, I'm not going to jail. I'm not going to jail for nothing.
No. If I'm going to catch a charge, it's going to be a real good one, and it's going to be because somebody
was trying to harm me. That's the only charge I'm going to catch.
Yeah. Someone's either...
I'm not going to anybody's house. I'm not going to protest somebody who I think killed somebody, because there's people I know of right now, as I said, walking free. I'm not going to their house. I'm not trying to find them for what?
You know, and then all of this money, you know, money, that reporter asked about money, right? You guys are here because of monetary gain. Well, they sure in the hell didn't pay for it out of their pocket.
Yes, none of your business. Linda has a point. I don't want to be biased, but if Quentin Simon wasn't white, the mama would be arrested because he's on probation. The 2 different crimes aren't the restrictions they follow. No alcohol. Well, that's a good point. Possibly if she was Mexican, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, another descent, another race, nationality, foreigner, African American. Hell yeah, I do believe she would have been arrested.
Yeah, so do I. I most definitely.
They would have ran with the charge. They would have ran with the evidence they had until they could find the body.
She would have been sitting in there with no bail.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. So I personally believe there is some sort of corruption going on. That's just my own personal belief.
And it's possibly the reason why Chatham County broke up from Savannah City Police Department, because they probably didn't want to be in alignment with the city department for some reason. There's always a reason.
Yeah, people got to look at that. Like, that's very
very important. That's something none of you talk about because you don't pay attention to stuff. There's a reason why Chatham County is separate from Savannah. They dispersed in 2017. They merged in 2005. They were only together for 12 years. What happened? People were angry that this mayor voted in Chief Hadley without their knowledge. So I don't know the protocol for voting in police officials, but these people were not happy. Townspeople were not happy.
It's just, all we can do is just sit and pray every day that, God's got it. He's going to take care of it.
Well, he's got it. He's got it either way. It's not about our timing. We don't have to like what's going on, because that's the whole thing. We're not down there, and this happens everywhere in America. The judicial system works as it sees fit. There is a human being behind the method. The method is Chief Hadley. So that's why we were saying, if you're going to protest, go to the police department, because that is the person who's making the decision, not 535. They're being allotted to walk free. It's pointless.
Yeah, because everything that's going on down there right now, nothing is going to come from it. Nothing. He's not going to go arrest her, because we all say, go get her. Because if that was the case, she would have been swooped up day 3.
Well, we know if the baby was black, they wouldn't have been there. So let's talk about that, since that's been mentioned in the chat about 3 times. Protesters, YouTubers, if the baby was black, would you be in Savannah, Georgia?
No.
Because Summer Wells is white. Gabby Petito is white. This is a mixed race female. The baby has Hawaiian descent, still has white mixed in him. But to the public, he would be known as a white baby. Oh, big ups. Come on now. These people have only rallied for white children. We're not going to sugarcoat anything. We don't sugarcoat anything over on this channel.
And there was a certain...
Well, let's do a toss-up then, since somebody thinks they know everything. The next time they decide to protest, let's see if it's for a black baby. I'll wait. How about that? Next time a child goes missing and they decide to flock to a city or town, let's wait and see if the baby is African American. So take the note of this live, the date of this live, versus the next time a YouTuber lands in somebody's city. See if the baby is black. How about that? Yeah, that's what I thought. And I can't wait to hear the response. I'm not a racist. I'm going to tell you something else I noticed strange. When I was looking at a photograph of all of them, they took a picture together. That black woman standing next to Olivia, is that her mother?
Yes.
Ooh, Lord. I'm going to try to bite my tongue on that one. Why?
And I want to know why that young...
Why are you down there? Why are you down there with those people? Something's off with this. I don't understand that whole combination there.
Well, I want to know why that young girl don't drive.
Because we all entitled, as they say, to rally as you see fit. But I find it strange. I'm now seeing that her mother is black. And I just don't see, some of us, we just don't rock like that. We ain't going looking for no damn trouble. Whether the baby was black or white. A lot of us ain't gonna rock like that because we know how things can get out of control. And I'm trying to understand what type of mother, black or white, would think that's appropriate, tagging along, seeing a situation to escalate. That's not good child rearing, and the child is grown. So I find it strange the girl's not down there with like a friend since she's above age.
She doesn't go anywhere with a friend. She travels with
Strange
her
to
mom.
me. Well, that's strange to me.
Yeah. I said that going all
Cuban,
the way back.
black, whatever, it's all the same. We're still considered black if you're Cuban. I'm not here to argue race.
All of it is bad. Billy Joe, I think you're a piece of shit. Your daughter's fucking foul. The people that you want to make company with are disgusting. None of us agree with you, but I sure in the fuck wouldn't give you my time or my money to come stand out in front of your house.
Well, I don't know anything about it. As I tell you all, I don't follow them. But what I'm saying is, the few places I've seen, a few of them, they were white. That's all I'm speaking on. I'm speaking on what I've seen, because I don't follow their content. I'm not in their pocket. I don't want to be in their pocket.
But Cody Bigsby, did they go down there? Did they physically pay to go down there? I don't think they did.
Honey, y'all in the wrong playhouse. You're not coming over here disrupting nothing. I'm not here to argue nothing about that trash over there.
Well, hopefully this is over sooner than later, period. And all these people, all these law enforcement officials can go home, go back to their families, their wives, their husbands, their children.
And you don't know the people personally either. This is a commentary channel. I give my opinion. I don't have to explain anything to anybody in the chat, what I say on my channel. I don't have to be in somebody's pocket to follow them around. I speak on what I've seen. And if I've seen a certain person or persons only go to crime scenes pertaining to white children, then that's what I've seen. Because if I don't follow a person's content, I'm not going to know where they go. I'm speaking on certain people who I've seen go live stream on a case. I didn't name anybody's name.
And this probably did bring a lot of money in for them.
You see her arguing with somebody about some fucking people running around with iPhones.
At the bottom line, people don't do things, especially travel, like the cost that it is costing to be out there, without some monetary gain. You could not.
You're not doing it out your own pocket.
Exactly.
It's not like you've got a bank account with money coming from another source, such as a real job, to where you could say, well, I'm going to take off and go hunt down this such and such in this case. That's not applying to these people. I seriously doubt it.
And you know what? Ann Clark is right. They didn't go to Cal City. And you know what? They didn't
so don't
talk about it.
Don't come in this chat. Don't come in this chat trying to put nothing on the Queen. Because I've talked about several cases that I know I ain't seen none of these people there.
They didn't even want to talk about those little boys.
I didn't see nobody for Breonna Rose and Taylor down there worried about her. She black. You wasn't down there. So you're going to tell me what the fuck I see. Yeah. None of you were in Cal City, because some people in California, they wanted to have jurisdiction over that case. They were crackpots. Y'all ain't from here. Y'all don't know nothing. Y'all don't know nothing.
And you know what? Fucking Doug, it was no better, because his ass is over there on his channel running his fat ass mouth about those out there. And his ass ended up in jail multiple times in Cal City because he was causing havoc.
Well,
so he's no better.
I will say, at that time when I was talking to Doug, I was in support of him when he was going out just doing the research. But my thing is, those people did. I do believe some of that was a setup, Kinsley, when the people were calling the police on him. Because my thing is, other people. Listen. There were other people who were there, and nobody called the police on them when they were filming and live streaming for their channels.
No, that's
well, why was the police only called on Doug? I don't think that was right.
That is true. But today or last night when he was over there, talking crap about these heathens over here, well, you were pounding the pavement. You were going into the police station all the time, stirring shit up. I think he was actually arrested in the lobby of the police station.
Well, see, I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
All of it. Like, if you're gonna go down there and you're gonna do pure work, you know what I mean? Like pure from your soul, from your heart, without no monetary gain. And I'm not just talking about this stuff right now. I'm talking about in general, whether it's, hurricane, floods, tornadoes, whatever it is that you feel.
Yes,
that
I will. Alleged crimes. I will agree with you because, like I said, at that time I was dealing with Doug, and I do believe if there was biasness, that they just didn't want certain people over there covering the case. They got used to the certain few people that were, though all the people were in a cahoots together that were covering it, that were YouTubers. So that's something a lot of people need to know that didn't follow the content back then. So those people, some had already riffs with each other before we even knew about the Cow City case, if I'm not mistaken. So therefore, when Doug comes along, there's this animosity already, shit was already underlined. So if you already got beef with somebody, they come on the scene to something, yeah, you got a problem with them being there. And I didn't want to, get into all the details of who didn't like who or whatever, but I think these people already had issues with one another because they worked with Doug had worked with one of them before. So see, there was beef already. So it really wouldn't matter what the circumstances were. But I believe they deliberately called on that incident where he was over there in the neighborhood and the police came and that lady came and all that, whatever the hell was going on. That to me was a setup. And I just thought that was foul because you're there also doing the same thing. So what's the difference between him being over there talking to somebody or asking questions?
Oh, now, yeah, small fries is right.
Now, about that other stuff you're talking about, the police stuff, and I don't have any knowledge of that.
Yeah, he went into the police station drunk.
Okay, well, see, I don't have any knowledge.
I just think that people just need to, put it out on your channel, talk about it, bring awareness, whatever you can to get it out there. But when you go and you're raising hell in the streets, I mean, no. I said it to you weeks ago. Someone's gonna get hurt down there. Someone's gonna get hurt.
Yeah, see, the problem I have with the people that's been on the ground is that they feel like they're acting just really like the people that were filming for Cow City. You're trying to say that you own the right to the story pertaining to standing on Buckhalter. No, you don't. Just like the people didn't own the right to stand over there at the Cow City house. You can't tell somebody they can't film, ride by, drive by. You don't own the rights to anything. That's a public street. The street is public. The house is private. The street is public. So therefore, you can't tell somebody else they can't stand out there. No, they ain't for the baby. Well, some of us don't believe you were for the baby. So how's it different?
I think most of them are just, it's all about the almighty dollar.
Well, it is.
Money
I'm better than you. I'm this. You don't know anything. You're, all those nasty names calling those women. I wouldn't have even said anything to those women. I don't care. They don't got no teeth. They ain't got this. Who cares? Who cares? Why are you even engaging in a conversation? Why are you even talking to them?
Well, and not only that, but if they supposedly
it makes no sense.
If they supposedly knew where this girl came from and who sent her, that tells you a lot. They're there to stir up some shit.
Yes, dream big. Exactly. Thank God they're gone. Because the police station is where you should have been in the first place.
I hope the little boy is found. I hope it's sooner than later. And he is able to be, I don't even know if we can use the word whatever's found in him be cremated, because I'm sure there's not going to be much of him left. But he did not deserve any of it. Those brother and sister, they don't deserve any of this. It's horrific. And shame on the mom. Shame on you, Billy Joe, because you took custody of those kids and you failed them just as bad as she did. You should be ashamed of yourself. With the very person that vowed to protect them neglected them.
Well, it's neither here nor there now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Barb. Suspect whisperer. Oh my God, I love it. That's a good one. Indeed. 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 So will they stay away?
I think one of them is going to try and find the loophole.
This is what I thought when I was reading the commentary from the police department. You have to get a permit. In the end, it still has to be approved. They're not going to approve it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So even if one of you little YouTubers or protesters decide to go get a permit, which I think is be a waste of your McDonald's and Popeye's chicken money, just leave them folks alone.
You can go home and talk about him all you want from your device. But
listen to Daniel. Maybe Ellie will be corrupted enough to plant some Quentin evidence at the landfill. Oh my God, please stop. That never crossed my mind. That never crossed my mind. Barb, great point. Cher is quietly evil. They are loudly evil. Yeah. Cher's one of those type of people. She's like the puppet master. She works from behind the scene, pulling strings.
And she's no better. She's
not.
Gross.
She's very vile to me because there is no way in hell I'm getting ready to be aiding people I don't know anything about and going out on a limb saying, yeah, I know they didn't do this. I know the mother didn't do this. But what I find interesting about the storyline pertaining to her relationship, her newfound love affair with Billy Joe, why aren't you talking to the person who's being accused of killing the kid? This is where it's grainy. Leilani is the one accused of killing the child. So why are you talking to Billy Joe? Why are you picking and choosing which one to rally for? You're saying, well, because she's contradicting herself, and every time she talks, she keeps switching it around, real subtle. Leilani is the one that you should be conversing with, not Billy Joe.
Exactly. The fact that Leilani isn't wanting to sit on hours on end and talk to you, that should tell you she's not bright enough to have a conversation. She'd bury herself 3 words in.
Well, John, they can get in cahoots with the neighbors, but if I was a neighbor, I wouldn't allow that because you can't straddle the fence. You can't say I'm sick of protesters, but then you let somebody sit on your lawn and film, because then other people will take the initiative to try to go then stand over there and then go ask the neighbor, hey, do you mind? And then it'll just start all over again. It'll start all over again.
That's what I'm waiting to see if that happens.
Do you think they're following Billy Joe and Leilani to have contact with the other kids? Well, see, and we don't even know what was ruled in court, so I don't know. Police and the DHS, they're always in cahoots together in investigation where there's a missing child believed dead. We don't know what happened in court, so I can't say. Yes, she should be in jail with Billy Joe. They're hunching each other through the cell phone, so hey, why not? Did you see that that drawing on AB's channel?
Yeah.
That girl, man. When I saw this morning, I said, I got to go to bed. I can't fool with you all. Man, that's a mean drawing. I said, damn, look at the horse whisperer. She looks like a dude with a braids to the back. She was thugging. I said, damn, this is priceless. Priceless. Lord have mercy. Whew, I'm dead. Biker says, I've heard the story many times. I know him, her. She wouldn't do this or that or other thing. The dark secrets, reality are often hidden from those who think they know. Well, that's the whole point, Biker, is that we all have sins. We all have done something, lied, stolen, manipulated, conned, fudged documents, lied on federal documents, spread a lie about a person, repeated gossip. It's all the same. Everybody's done something that he or she is ashamed of. That's just common sense. But there's a fine line when one has to still take accountability for the things that they're doing and saying. When you're just willingly going out here aiding people who have possibly harmed a child, that's just wrong. And it speaks volumes to your own character. And you can't get mad that people are judging you because you're putting yourself out there to be discussed. I wouldn't go get myself involved with people that are involved in a murder investigation because I don't know them. And I can't say, oh yeah, I know you didn't do this or you meant well. No, I can't say that. How can I say that about a person I've never even broke bread with? I never broke bread with you. I've never been to your house. I've never talked to you personally. We never went out to eat. We never went out to dinner. We never hung together. You never, helped me in a dire situation, or I helped you in a dire situation. I don't know your family. I don't know where you came from. I don't even know where you were born. There's no way in hell you can just go out on limbs for somebody and say, yeah, I know they didn't do that. And I've learned with true crime, you best stay the hell away from them people. I can say this about a man who had got involved with John Wayne Gacy. Gacy was already incarcerated in prison doing his time for murdering all those boys and men. This guy was interviewing him, going to the prison, talking to him. He finally just told, the public that John Wayne Gacy is just as dangerous locked up as if he was out on the street. He gets in your mind. He's a manipulator. He can talk to you long enough to where he could damn near sway you to think he didn't even kill all those people. But that's the point. They had proof. What's more proof than pulling out bodies from down in the basement, down in the crawl space? I don't need to go talk to him. I could watch the news and see they were pulling the bodies out in black bags, brown bags. So you go talk to this person trying to get some type of information, or you've got some type of fascination with them. And then later you have to go ahead and tell the world, yeah, I was a fool for even going to the prison talking to a convicted murderer, serial killer. Oh, he got in my head. Oh, he's dangerous. Oh, he's a manipulator. Well, that's already been proven. That's how he got the victims to his house. Duh. So one can look at you and say, well, what the hell are you doing running over there to the prison talking to him? Even if you were trying to pen a book or write a news story, you knew he was diabolical. You know that. You know he's diabolical. They've got evidence. They've got bodies. They've got bodies. Got somebody who witnessed dealing with him, got away. So if you have all this information, how can you later be shocked to say, oh, well, he's a manipulator. He's a grand manipulator. He gets into your head. Well, he's already done that with the living, and they're now dead. He had to be able to get those boys in his car. He had to have a way to get the boys in the car, get the men in the car. The clown and went to the children's hospital, went to the hospital to go around kids. He was also a pedophile, had a past criminal record in another state. I believe it was Missouri or Iowa. People didn't even know that. He was well known in the community. He was well known in Chicago. He even navigated the political spectrum. They didn't know any of his past pedophile record because it was in another state. And you have to be cautious of anybody that identifies with a sadist, with someone involved in investigation of a missing child. You can't say, I don't think he did that. I don't think she did that. You weren't there. You don't know what they did. You don't know who knows what they did. You don't know who helped somebody with what they did. And we've learned with true crime, many people know of the crime. Many people aided the suspects. The suspect told somebody what they did, confided in somebody, and they held the secret. And there are people walking around right now that's holding the secret to a murder investigation, cold case, and have not spoken with law enforcement about what they know, what was told to them, what they saw. And what's baffling is when you hear years later, people come out and say, yeah, he told me he killed her. He put her in a tub and dumped her in the ocean. What the hell are you telling us for now? Yeah, he buried her in the attic, in the cellar. Yeah, she's buried in the backyard. Yeah, they killed their kid. There's always somebody that knows the truth. It's just a matter of if and when they're going to tell it. And you don't know right now if Leilani has told Billy Joe what actually happened October 4th, 5th. Did that ever occur to any of you in the chat, the viewing audience? That Leilani has possibly told her mother what happened to Quentin Simon? Because what you have to ask yourself is the obvious. At some point, Billy Joe switched up and pretended to aid her daughter versus the original news broadcast of she and her husband gassing her with gasoline. So what happened? I tell you all, you have to pay attention to the details. Could it be that Leilani went on and told her the truth? Because for her to be telling Cheryl all this BS about her house is now quiet, it's peaceful, she's gone, that would lead you to believe they probably were showing down in that house after October 5th. Fist fights, hair pulling, all of that. You don't know. You're not in there. You killed that baby. You know you killed that baby. Tell me you killed that baby. Admit you killed that baby. Okay, I did it. I did it. I'm sorry, Mommy. I'm sorry. And then she goes into this woe is me pity party. My life was hard. You weren't there. You were never there. Yeah, I get high. I got drugs, blah, blah, blah. Probably implicated the baby daddy. Yeah, he did it too. He helped me. We conspired. You was trying to put us out. You two was taking us to court. What was I supposed to do? You know I ain't got no money. You know I got a drug problem. You know I'm doing this. Where was I supposed to live with my kids? You signed the papers. So you're just as guilty. See, you don't even know the conversations they've had behind closed doors. They're sleeping in a house where a baby was murdered. And you think those motherfuckers ain't then sat up and argued back and forth about what happened to Quentin Simon? Come on now. Exactly. WWE. They have probably gone back and forth about what happened to that baby. They have probably pushed each other, punched each other, jumped on top of each other, strangled each other, and made up. Okay, I'm going to help you. But you better not tell nobody but God. Billy Joe says to her daughter. You better not tell nobody but God. But see, Billy Joe had to think. My name's on that paper. I'm the custodian of the two boys. So therefore, I'm guilty, even if I didn't make the blow. Suffocate, beat, strangle the baby, discarded the baby. My name's on that paper. And now I'm going to have to explain to the Department of Human Services and the law officials why my name is on these custodial papers and I chose a job out of town. Checkmate. How long is this farce going to go on between Billy Joe and Leilani? Somebody's going to have to throw in the towel and give up the goods. Charge me. I'm wrong. I signed the papers knowing my child was not capable of taking care of her children. I own that responsibility. Give me the charge. And here is what I know about the death of Quentin Simon. This is what my daughter told me. This is what I've seen. This is what I've heard. This is what I know. I'd rather set my soul free than aid a killer, even if it's my child. I'd rather set my soul free than aid my child. Because in the end, if Billy Joel is arrested and charged, found guilty, able to get out and salvage a bit of life, she will never be the same. She may walk around perpetrating like it's no big deal, an old hag, old beat up hag, but she still would have to walk around knowing she forfeited those children over to a person who was not responsible enough to take care of the children. She has to live with that. Will they find Quentin Simon in the landfill? I'm praying that they do. Should they have arrested this Leilani originally? Yes, they should have. Without a body, will the evidence be enough to bring forth a charge? I hope so. And if and when she's brought forward in the charging indictment, will 12 members of a jury find her guilty? I pray that they do. Because I would hate to look up and have a repeat of the Casey Anthony trial. Because when you see someone walking free, you jog your memory back to that infamous case where there was enough evidence to find Casey Anthony guilty. The 12 members conceded not guilty. Why? And how do you sleep at night knowing you let that alley bat walk free? And everybody knows that once you are free from a charge that you know you killed somebody, you feel like you're invincible. I can do it again. My lawyer talked 12 stupid people into believing I didn't kill my kid. I can get away with it again. So I'm sure that it's how Leilani Simon is feeling right now, and she hasn't even been charged. They don't have anything. They're just trying to trick me into talking. She knows not to talk. That shows how guilty she is. She's not even a walkie-talkie like her mother. I'm not going to say anything. They haven't arrested me. They haven't found the baby. So therefore, there's no need in me talking. I'm going to ride it out. As she said in that interview, if they find me at fault for something, I'll turn myself in. Well, you just admitted that you are at fault. Because a decent human would never say, if they found me at fault. If they find something is basically what you're saying. If they find the baby. If they have evidence I threw the baby in the dumpster, which led to the landfill, then I'll turn myself in. You know you killed that baby. You put the baby in the dumpster. The dump truck took the baby to the landfill, and you're praying to the Almighty, even though you're nasty and vile, please don't find nothing pertaining to my baby. You're praying to the same God that's showing you favor for killing that baby, aren't you? I know I'm wrong, Father, for killing that baby. I just didn't need him. I didn't want him. It's a burden. Billy Joel's trying to put me out of this house Billy Joel's taking me and Danny to court. We had to come up with a ruse. We had to come up with something to get rid of that baby. Is it an I or a we? I had to come up with something, or is it we had to come up with something? Be the judge. Is it an I or is it a we? Because Danny is poof, gone. Why? Why would the baby daddy leave? Why would you leave? That shows me you didn't care for Leilani, your child, or her other 2 children. She has a whole child dead, and you left your own child with her. So you can never say you cared for your child. Your parents wanted custody of the child. You had the opportunity to take the child. You could have simply told her, look, this is a dire situation. They're going to think you killed the baby. So I'm going to take our child somewhere till things cool down or whatever reason. But you left the child, so it made no sense for your parents to say, well, we're going to try to get custody. And we know they didn't get custody because you've gone to court and we haven't heard anything about them having the child. And the state says they're in foster care, which means they didn't say they were with the relative. So that means you were found unfit. All of you. All of you. And why is that? See, you have to listen to the information. You all ask the same questions over and over and over, and the answer has already been given to you. The children are in foster care, so therefore nobody related has the children. And when you have a case of a missing baby and evidence has come forward of a murder, there's no way they're going to give the baby to anybody related to the person who was last in the house with the child. Checkmate. The state knows they possibly messed up, depending on whatever information they had on this case or their involvement with the case, if any. So by no means at this point are they going to give the children to anybody directly related to any of the participants, as so they don't have access to the children. That is common sense. Stay woke. Bubba Moss. Is God trying to tell you something? 3 deaths in 1 month. Stay woke. Generational curses. It is in the Bible. Sins of the father. Which one would we be speaking of? His father or him? Or the mother? God has a plan for everything done. And he allows the devil to move about to take in his soldiers. The devil uses people. That's his job. But it is allowed. Because we have choices. Free will to think for ourselves. That is the gift God has given us, is free will. So what you do is on you. But it is very ironic that a man who has not seen his child has had death knock at his door 3 times. Three times. Yes, full circle. What are the odds? That a person would lose their child who they had not seen, had no interaction, lose their mother, then their father, and in the meanwhile, yes, truth is true, sold a story to the Daily Mail. Maybe God was not pleased. Why you sell that story? You hadn't even seen your child. Should he have sold the story? You're entitled to your interpretation. Will Danny Youngkin come forward and ever speak? Some say he shouldn't. Would it matter at this point? What is he doing right now? Does he have regrets for being involved with Leilani Simon? Did he participate in the planning and or death of the child in discardment? Does he have knowledge of the plan? Knowledge where the baby is? Has he told the truth to law enforcement? Has he agreed to take a plea? Or has he decided to say nothing and just go about his business? Is he fearful of what could happen to him? Because, guilt can be a son of a gun. Imagine knowing what happened to Quentin Simon and you said nothing to law officials. Thank you, Rhonda, for following the Queen on Twitter. Just imagine he conspired with Leilani to take the life of this child and knew that she was going to dump the baby. Because in the end, you have to make yourself believe, if you want to, he had no knowledge at all. And he saw a child allegedly in the playpen. So then you have to ask yourself, well, where did the other 2 children sleep or slept at that time? In a play bed or day bed or toddler bed? How many beds were in the bedroom? Did the small one sleep in the bed with them? Was Quentin the only one sleeping in the playpen? Or did he lie? He knew the baby was dead because he helped aid her kill her child and knew of the discardment and stayed behind while she went out into the night dumping a baby. Imagine that. He knows everything. Imagine Billy Joel knows everything. Imagine the brother in the house knows everything. And I find it strange that there's no mention of this boy child Paul whatsoever in this storyline. You stayed there, you lived there, you know nothing. And the information came to me about the door being open. I find now strange that you all are saying you saw ADT at the house. So one would say, is she changing the security system company, or she never had security at all? I'll wait. Very strange. Very strange. Thank you, Diggs. Billy Joe, did you have a security system on your house October 4th and 5th? Or did you have ADT come out as a new company or to upgrade your package? I'm curious. Thank you. Thank you all so much for following the content. Exactly, Biker. Well, I have a source pertaining to the information in this case. And so far, I believe what's been told to me, because you all don't know who the source is. I don't believe anything that's been said by these people, because that's the gist of the story. Why am I going to believe anybody that stayed in that house version of events? There's a dead baby in a landfill, so therefore, nothing they have said on social media via Billy Joel is of relevance to me. You see, a decent human being who knows how people are going to think of them will be very careful of the information they relate to the public. They will not go to Facebook to talk, number one. Number two, they will not seek out mediocre YouTubers as a source for information to be passed along to the general public, because many people do not even watch YouTube. And I can say that because I've asked people to follow me here at Everyday Shenanigans. They don't even have YouTube signed up through the Google account. They don't even watch the news. So everybody chooses his or her own source of information. Newsbreak, Facebook, different sources. So those who watch Facebook don't watch YouTube. Those that watch YouTube tend to watch Facebook as well, TikTok. But a lot of people don't follow people on true crime on YouTube. They watch other things on YouTube, but not people talking about true crime. If they watch true crime, they'll watch Court TV, Oxygen, ID Channel, Dateline. They don't look for YouTubers for that information. Because in the end, the YouTuber can only repeat what, one, the news said. Two, go seek out the people in the story and see if they will take the bait and respond. And as I've told you, in dealing with true crime, I've learned that you really don't know people. Because I have seen behavior from people that were involved in the investigation that was whack as hell. Very immature, very petty. So then I have to ask myself, if you are allegedly trying to help the people in the story and you're acting a donkey's ass, why do they need you? Because one, you don't know their involvement. And now you don't have no common sense. You're acting erratic. You don't need to be helping. Oh, the stories I could spin. Because you don't know people. And I'm seeing a trend of people involving themselves with these characters in the storyline. It is the blind leading the blind. Oh, I'm here to help you get your child back over here to there, out of town. But you've got some demons yourself. Then you go get somebody else to help with the case, and they've got demons. So what you're seeing or what you're hearing, because a lot of you won't know this information because it's not supposed to be released, the people behind the scenes are just as jacked up as the people in the storyline. But you don't know that. This is the reason why I tell you why you shouldn't be listening to the stuff that the people are spitting that's in the story. No decent human is going to go to Facebook or YouTube in an investigation. You would be advised not to speak to anyone as to preserve the investigation and yourself from any implications in the crime. And yet you still continue to talk to somebody on YouTube, Facebook. Why? Hanging yourself because obviously you have something to prove, which shows to me you're possibly guilty. You have knowledge of the crime and the suspects, and you're trying to deflect, but you're not doing a good job. You're entitled to your interpretation of this case. The people who have immersed themselves in the case, the information that you have heard, seen, witnessed, you're entitled to your opinion of the right to protest. But nobody has the right to disturb the peace. Because as I have said many times, treat people the way you want to be treated. You can't scream about the law when the law is not being fair to other people. Because man is the one who makes the law. But it does not mean that when the law is made, it is serving purposes to all those involved. Usually it only serves the purpose in favor of one side and not the other. The protesters had a hands up, but the people in the neighborhood who didn't want to hear the noise, they were not favored. But now that has changed. So I hope there will be some peace and decorum on Buckhalter and anywhere else in the United States, because you do have the right to live cohesively in your house, in your neighborhood, your subdivision, your condominium, high rise, skybox, ground level. It's all the same. You have the right to peace and quiet. And no one should have to argue with somebody about that. And by no means, somebody not wanting to partake in silliness and pettiness means they don't care for a child. And that's an idiotic statement to make. Your perception as a do-writer is to do whatever you want, when you want, and fuck the consequences. But that is not right. And you all abuse the law to your own advantage for self-serving purposes. You do not care about that child. You do not care about the neighbors. You do not care about the people in Savannah, and nor do you care about the people following you, and you don't give a fuck about law enforcement. Because when you show that you don't have respect for others, you show you don't have respect for yourself. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Angie 129, Cash App, all stickers and chats welcome during my live streams. Thank you all so much for the stickers and chats. Thank you for following me on Twitter every day. Shanann 1, thank you so much. Have a peaceful weekend. God bless all of you. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution, not the problem. Mind the children. Know that you can give any information pertaining to a crime, abuse, neglect of an elderly person, child, or another individual to law enforcement. And my best advice is to bypass DHS and just call the police. See, if you don't stand up for something, you'll fall for anything. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans.